Okay, so the sciatic nerve is an issue that lots of people sort of attain throughout their lifetime. A common reason for the sciatic nerve issue is actually a restriction through your piriformis muscle, which sits sort of in your glutes, and it's basically a restriction through the nerve, so it causes an impingement, which is why you sort of feel the pain. So what we do with sciatic nerve stretching is opening up through the hip girdle or hip joint. So what I'll do is I'll show you a couple of exercises that you can work through. Now with all of your stretches, you should be holding them for about 1 minute. And if you can, try to do them twice through. So even if you have pain, say on your left side, still try to do the same stretches on your right side just to keep it even. So even though it is on your left side and that's the dominant side that you need to be working on to loosen up the area, do it on your right side just to keep it even. So we'll come to the ground for the first stretch. So the first stretch that we're going to be doing is, I'm going to be working on my left side as my sciatic nerve side basically. So remember, you repeat these stretches on both sides. So my right leg is going to be extended straight and I draw my left leg in towards my chest. I'll be lying straight down. I clasp my knee with both of my hands and I'm drawing my knee in. At the same time, I'm going to draw my knee towards my opposite shoulder. So this is my left knee drawing into my body. I'm going to draw my left knee in towards my right shoulder. And this stretch is directly targeting through the piriformis. You may find that when you do this stretch to begin with, you feel a little bit of pressure through your adductor and through the inside of your hip. That's fairly common, it just comes with a little bit of exposure. So if you do it a little bit more frequently, that should dissipate, providing the pressure is not too much. So that's your first stretch, is basically just keeping long with your body and drawing in towards your chest and across towards your opposite shoulder. The next stretch from there would be to keep your opposite hand on your knee, your other arm extends out wide, and you basically draw your leg across towards the ground into a spinal rotation stretch. So once again, body flat, your other arm is extended out wide. This is just to give you a little bit more chest opening. You could also sort of use it to guide your hip and just drawing your knee down towards the ground. The next stretch that you would follow, the common stretch that you do here is for your glute, is keeping a gap through the middle and grabbing a hold of your knee. This is a bit of a variation. What we do is we're going to bring the inside of your knee and place it basically on top of your thigh. From here, you're going to grab your left ankle with your right hand and your right ankle with your left hand, or ankle with your left hand, and basically draw in towards your chest. Again, you can have your shoulders elevated or down on the ground wherever you feel comfortable. You should be feeling this stretch, again, fairly similar through the glute region slash like sort of piriformis opening up through the outside of our hip. Now from there, we'd sit up, legs straight, leaning forward, as far forward as your flexibility allows, tucking your chin into your chest, and sort of it just gets slumping forward. So this is the slump stretch to open up through our posterior chain. So tucking your chin in through your chest or to your chest will help open up through, especially through your back and your upper back region. Now once you've done those stretches, we'll come up into a hip flexor stretch. So basically creating almost like a right angle with the front leg and then almost like a right angle with the back leg. Now you can remain relatively tall with your body and just push forward from your pelvis. So you don't need to be leaning forward too much. You stay up tall with your body and then basically it's your hips pushing forward or your pelvis pushing forward, and you should feel this stretching out through the inside of your hip. You can vary this stretch slightly. So if I wanted to feel a little bit more through like the inside of my hip, for example, all I do is with my back, my leg at the back, is you just kind of position your foot a little bit differently. So if I sort of bring my foot across a little bit more, then I'll feel the stretch through the inside of my hip a little bit more. So you can position that in slightly different ways, but if you just want to keep it simple in a neutral position, so your leg just immediately straight, up tall, pushing forward from your pelvis, and you should be feeling it through your hip flexors. From there, we'd stretch out through our adductors, so that's the inside. So we basically separate our knees as much as we can, come forward onto our elbows, and stretch. You can have your heels or your ankles basically in line with your knees, and from here you want to be pushing back with your hips. So your hips should be pushing back towards your heels. and you'll feel that through the inside of your thighs. At the same time, try to separate your legs as much as possible, so you're effectively trying to do the split, but on your knees, and again, pushing your hips back to open up through your hip girdle, again, the inside of your hip. Then from there, we bring one leg forward. So my right leg is almost straight, my left leg is bent. You can come forward onto your hands or your elbows, wherever you feel comfortable. And what you're trying to do is drop your hip out to the side. So your hip is dropping out towards the side, again, to open up through a little bit higher through that hip region. And again, just sort of relax and allow that stretch to work. So you can come down into this position and relax, or again, just wherever you want to be. Now, like I mentioned, all of those stretches should be done for about a minute. You want to try to relax as much as possible throughout your stretches in order for them to work. So if you're too tense and you're not allowing that relaxation process to happen, you won't get much from the stretches. So try to relax as much as possible, breathe through your stretches, and if you do them consistently and regularly, you should see some pretty good results.